This week, the Republicans have stepped up their assault on clean air and clean energy. Both this committee and the full House have begun a legislative repeal-a-thon that denies the science, delays the regulations, and deters efforts to protect the health and security of millions of Americans. Take today's floor action. We're having 100-year floods every few years. We have had tornadoes rip through the country, killing people and destroying property. Hurricanes have caused floods, massive power outages, and deaths. Texas is on fire. 48 states have made emergency declarations so far this year. And we have set all-time records of 83 major disasters declared this year, with 3 months of the year still left to go. The planet is warming, and the weather is worsening. We see it here with our hurricanes, floods, fires, and tornadoes. We see it overseas, where famine in Somalia threatens civil war. And how does the Tea Party respond? Maybe we can find the money, they say, for disaster relief for people who are suffering, for people who are desperate, for people who have lives who have been altered permanently by these disasters, but we're going to make the taxpayer pay. Do the Republicans say we are going to pay by cutting the hundreds of billions of dollars we spend on our nuclear weapons program? Because we all know we don't need to build any more nuclear weapons. Oh, no. They wouldn't do that. Are we going to cut the tens of billions of dollars in subsidies we give to big oil and coal as they report record profits? Oh, no. We can't touch those, they say. We can't even talk about cutting those programs. What can we talk about? We can talk about, they say, cutting the clean car factory funds. We can talk about cutting the incentives to make super-efficient cars that don't need the oil sold by potentates in Saudi Arabia and CEOs in Texas. We can talk about cutting the program that could remove the need for the very same oil that creates the greenhouse gases that are warming up the planet and causing the disasters that cost more and more money to remedy as each year goes by. And as if all this wasn't enough, the Republicans are also waging an all-out war on the Clean Air Act. This committee in the House has already passed legislation to prevent the EPA from doing anything to reduce the amount of oil used by our cars and trucks. And this week, in this committee and on the floor, we are considering bills to require endless study of the cumulative impacts of all EPA air regulations on all industries. And then, just for good measure, we're going to pass legislation that repeals the regulations that have already been set, extend the deadlines for implementation of the rest, and weaken the very underpinnings of the Clean Air Act. The Republicans are providing the American people with a false choice. We do not have to choose between air quality and air conditioning. We do not have to choose between concrete and cancer. We do not have to choose between manufacturing and mercury poisoning, or asthma, or cardiac arrest. We do not have to choose. In their insistence that we consider the cumulative impacts of all these regulations, there are some other cumulative impacts of their actions that Republicans refuse to acknowledge. Administrator Jackson, Republicans are cutting programs to incentivize the development of advanced technology vehicles that could run without using a single drop of oil. They're also passed legislation preventing EPA from moving forward to require a 54.5 miles per gallon fuel economy standard by 2025. When you look at this cumulatively, as Republicans say we must, do you think these actions would help or hurt our efforts to reduce our dependence on foreign oil and back out that which we take from OPEC and funds those countries' governments?
I think efforts to make us more dependent on gasoline hurt our nation's energy independence. So.
Cumulatively, what are the benefits of cleaning up particulate matter? Does that help or hurt our efforts to battle cancer, to battle the impact that it has upon the health of people in our country?
Particulate matter or soot causes premature deaths. It doesn't make you sick. It's directly causal to dying sooner than you should. So the impacts of delaying efforts, cost-effective efforts, I might add, to address particulate matter, are more people dying sooner than they should.
How would you compare it to the fight against cancer, reducing particulate matter?
Yeah, I was briefed not long ago. If we could reduce particulate matter to healthy levels, it would have the same impact as finding a cure for cancer in our country.
Can you say that sentence one more time?
Yes, sir. If we could reduce particulate matter to levels that are healthy, we would have an identical impact to finding a cure for cancer.
That's a pretty good cumulative impact.
Well, and the difference is we know how to do that.
And
We
the
know how to deal with it.
Republicans are also proposing to delay and weaken standards that would remove toxic chemicals like mercury, benzene, cancer-causing dioxin, and lead from industrial polluters. Your regulations clean up cement plants. When you look at these health effects cumulatively, as Republicans insist we must, and the Tea Party insists we must, would we be avoiding the thousands of deaths that otherwise would occur? if we
Gentleman's
did not
time
take
has
this?
expired.
And that's $2 trillion in health benefits a year beginning in 2020, sir.
Okay,
And that's just some of the rules.
I
thank
thank
you.
the gentleman.